This edition of Cibola Treasures is brought to you by Seven Cities Productions, and we are so glad you're joining us today. I'm Barbara Wesley, your host. This edition of Cibola Treasures is featuring the Animal Care Center. They're having the Fiesta de Colores with an open house. A lot of great things are going on there on Saturday, May the 5th. Then Solo Works with Shelley Fawcett is going to be here to talk about all the great jobs that she is helping young people and older people to get. And then Grants Rocks with Dawn Chapman will be featured, as well as Chief Hayes with the Fire Department. So stay tuned.
Warrior Pegboard will transform your workshop or garage to a clean, uncluttered space. Warrior Pegboard is the strongest pegboard in the world. Holds up to 2,500 pounds on a single panel. The hooks will not fall out. What you will need: select the size, anchor to a stud, admire your handiwork. Warrior Pegboard's strong, sparkling appearance was designed by a veteran. Each piece of your Warrior Pegboard system is made in America. For sizes, prices, and shipping information, just select Warrior Pegboard at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, Jet.com, or DiscountRamps.com. For wholesale, military, and government sales, contact John Wesley.
Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is Chief Robert Hayes of the Grants Fire Department. And it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Well, I've always enjoyed coming and talking with you for whatever reason, yes.
Okay. Well, we're talking about fire today.
Yes, we are.
And we've just had I call them uncontrollable burns. They call them controlled burns. But it seems like every spring they do this control burn, and then other things happen as a result.
They can get out of control, but the springtime is the best opportune time for them to clean and help maintain some of the vegetation out in the forest, and that's why they pick those days. And unfortunately, Mother Nature has a tune all her own, so she'll take over when it comes.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about fire safety with this year. It looks as though I was listening to or seeing, it may have been both, that we were going to have several more months of dry weather in our area.
And in the forecast that I've gotten from the Forest Service and the meteorologist, we're going to be dry all the way through June.
Right.
And then they're expecting a heavier monsoon starting in July, August, and September. So it's going to be one extreme to the other. So we've tried to express to folks here in town to not burn outside, to watch their charcoal grills, and to build what is known as a defensible space around your homes. Cut down the vegetation, move the piles of wood that you have stored there for the wintertime away from your home, because they get just as dry as anything else.
That's right.
The wood shingle siding, the wood shingles themselves on some of the buildings, we often worry about it. I'm happy to see that some people are removing them. But a defensible space is what is needed around your home. You know, dead trees, dead vegetation, the grass itself. Sometimes people don't care for, and it will dry up and become very susceptible to fires.
As I was driving through town just yesterday, I noticed a lot of lots that have, natural vegetation in those lots, but it's 2-3 feet tall.
Yes, I know.
And it's all over town. And I thought, well, when it's nice and we're getting rain, those turn kind of green, and it's not. But now it's just all dry.
Yes, it's all dry from last year. Code enforcement is sending out letters to try and remind folks to try and clean up those areas, because an errant spark, a cigarette, will send that tinder going like gasoline. Recently, we've had 2 fires on the interstate. One in Milan that was a couple of acres that we were able to control within an hour, and no homes were destroyed. And then another one 2 days ago at the 88-mile marker from a truck that broke down. And he was trying to start it, and the ignition started the brush on fire. That was about a half acre. It took us about 50 minutes to take that out. But it doesn't take very much.
But you think a starter, that's... Who would think?
You wouldn't, yeah, you wouldn't. But he was broke down, and he was trying to start his vehicle, and then a spark lit it up, and he was.
My.
We were very lucky that he didn't lose his vehicle. But it doesn't take much in our area right now, and not all over the state, to start a fire. So a defensible space is what we're preaching, and what we're going to try and encourage our folks in the community to try and do.
The other thing is, people it's been my observation that people complain about their water bill.
Yes.
But we don't have exorbitant water bills here.
I've noticed that we don't. The cost of living here is quite amiable, and they adjust the water bills during the summer for a lower rate just because of that. And I would hope that people would keep their grasses green and not susceptible to burning. And just be available, have a functioning hose around your house.
That's right.
Because coming up soon is going to be our fireworks season. And I believe June 25th through July 6th or 7th is the time frame that the state allows fireworks to be sold. And we're going to have them here in town. And I'm sure Boland's has their fine array of many fireworks over there that people will use. And I don't think that a ban is going to be available for either Grants or Milan. So you need to have a bucket available and a hose, and adults. Adults is the big thing, because some kids don't know that a firework will go off even if it hasn't exploded yet. So we try and preach safety for that all the time. I know that the county has a burn ban out in their unincorporated areas already in place, so be careful out in the forest and out in those areas, because it's very, very dry.
It is. It truly is. And usually by this time we begin to see some of the natural flowers coming up along the interstate. I'm not seeing any of those yet.
No, we may not for a while. As I said, the forecast is dry, and the entire state will be in a severe drought by June. It's creeping up to about 60%, then it'll be 80, and then it'll be 100 between April, May, and June. So it's just folks need to pay attention out there of what they're doing.
I think the other thing is the things that happen to the people as a result of those losses, their homes, their mementos, and though so many cannot be replaced in any form or fashion. And then, of course, we look at the lives that are lost.
Yes, exactly that. We have to, take into consideration all of that. Folks will lose quite a bit, and insurance doesn't take care of all of that. All the memories that you lose because of a fire that has destroyed your home for whatever reason. We need to be very cognizant. Animals are affected. They were affected this last time for the fires out west. We just need to be very, very realistic with what we need to do.
Right.
Because it's not only our lives that they may affect, and maybe someone else's.
That's true. That's true. So we're going to have a fireworks display out at the golf course again this summer.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, that's what's on the agenda, or that's what's planned. There is not a fireworks ban in Grants at this time.
No, we have not pursued that for whatever reason. I know just that's going to be out there, but folks need to just be very wary, because the bottle rockets and what have you will send sparks everywhere, and we've had a couple of fires in the past with regards to the vegetation around people's homes. Their bushes and what have you have caught fire. We haven't lost any homes yet, knock wood, but hopefully people just need to pay attention.
Right. I know of a friend of mine who kids were playing with fireworks, and it caught a utility pole on fire.
Yes.
So I mean, everyone could have lost their
electricity and everything. That would have been. And we had an event 5 or 6 years ago, and the utility pole went up, telephone, electric, in someone's backyard. So all those folks in that area were affected. So yes, it's not just one person. It can be an entire block.
That's right. Now the county does have a ban. And explain what that entails.
Well, all the areas for the county, other than the Native American areas, or the towns and cities that are within the Cibola, outside burning has been banned completely. No fires, no charcoal, no fireworks out in the forest at all, because of the dry conditions that we have.
No smoking.
Smoking is allowed in your vehicle.
Right.
But not outside.
I recall we were out at Lava Falls one time, and here's a visitor to our state gets out and they start smoking outside. And I said, "Oh, please.
Please don't, yes.
Please." Because we'd had a ban then. It's been maybe, I'm going to say over 10 years ago.
Perhaps,
so
yeah.
It was, but they were not aware.
Yeah. Oh, and it's education. It's education about everything that we have here in our state. And I think you can't smoke out in the state parks. I think even that's not allowed right now. So they're trying to curb that in areas that they have control of.
Okay. All right. Well, what is the biggest challenge you face right now?
Well, the challenge is having enough personnel to get to a wildfire, and that's what we're going to call them, even on the interstate or within town. It's getting enough people to the area to help fight the fires, because we're a limited department and we have limited resources. But the fire on the interstate that was at the 79 in Milan was what I will call a 4-alarm fire, because I had 4 fire departments working on that to try and control it at one time. It's trying to get everybody to the scene within a reasonable amount of time. The fire on the interstate, it took 2 minutes to go over 200 yards. It roared across that side of the interstate. And we're lucky to have the Department of Transportation with some of their trucks out there. And they sprayed the side down with their water trucks and helped us out tremendously. Okay.
Well, I believe that we need to give credit where credit is due, right? So
yes.
Kudos to that department.
We appreciated their help so much, and it was very, very helpful.
Right. And you have how many employees do you have? How many staff do you have?
I have 10 full-time staff, and I have 7 volunteers right now. So that's and the complement is at 3 during the day, and that's who I have to work with. So, and we call out everybody who is off to come in and help. And as I said, we called out 3 of the departments for the Milan fire.
Okay, all right. Well, how can someone become a volunteer?
Well, if you live within the city of Grants, you come by the station and pick up a packet, and there's a vetting process, background checks, drug tests, and quite a few things. And then within the year, I will pay you to go to fire school, and you just become a firefighter. You get to go on and become a fireman just like the rest of us.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're interested in becoming a volunteer fireman, keep in mind that can also lead to a permanent position at some point.
It sure can. And not here, but maybe someplace else.
Okay. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you here, because you bring so much good information that's needed by our viewers, by our community.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you having me here today.
You're welcome. And thank you for tuning in to this segment of Cibola Treasures. We appreciate you too. El Cafecito has been serving authentic, New Mexican cuisine for over 32 years. The first thing that greets you is the fragrant aroma of chili.
The friendly and efficient staff welcome you to a dining experience that can only be found in Grants. Try the award-winning burrito, red, green, or maybe you want Christmas.
Do you need a chili fix? You will not be disappointed. There's so many great choices.
What sets El Cafecito apart is the made fresh chili every day.
Oh, I come here for the breakfast burrito, which is very good. Service is good, fast. When you're hungry, you're ready to eat.
A banquet room is designed for meetings, special occasions, and community events.
For those in a hurry, the drive-up window offers convenience too.
The service, friendly staff, great New Mexican cuisine is all due to Angela and Larry Baca. They oversee every aspect of El Cafecito. Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is Sherry Badeston, and she's the director for the Animal Care Center. And Sherry, you've got a friend with you this morning.
Yep, I have little Sarah here. She's
Okay.
about 1.5 years old.
Okay.
She came in from Laguna with one puppy, a little female puppy. It's kind of hard to tell them apart, except the puppy's a little bit shorter than she is right now.
Okay.
She is spayed, and she is for adoption.
Okay. Very good. Well, let's hope that she does get adopted,
Yes.
because otherwise she's going to be transported to Utah. Right?
Yeah.
She's a very affectionate pup,
She is.
and apparently has had some training.
She seen me. I took her to the park, and she stayed right with me. So, and I didn't even have the leash on her. So, yeah, somebody spent some time with her.
Okay.
So, yep, she just wants to be with you, as you can see.
Okay, very good. Well, Sherry, I thought this morning we would talk about some of the challenges that you face at the Animal Care Center.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, the first thing is, how many staff people do you have right now?
Currently, I have 2 officers. We are looking for a 3rd officer. I have 1 receptionist, and we just took on a new position. She is our volunteer coordinator, and she will help with the public, answering the phone, help with getting the volunteers in there, the kids after school.
Okay.
I think it'll be great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are your needs as far as staffing right now is concerned?
The 3rd officer, I think, once we get that person in there, that'll really help.
Okay.
And the little things that the volunteers come in and do, bathing, walking the dogs, it's such a blessing. The kids that come after school, the time that just that hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, they spend that one-on-one time with the dogs. You'd be amazed what it does for the dogs.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, and of course, what it does for the kids.
Right,
Yes.
right. Well, you know, we have a huge problem in our county, don't we?
Yes, ma'am.
And I've thought about this so many times that, you know, here you are inundated with, what, about 1,000 dogs plus a month?
No, right now it's probably, I believe last month it was 158.
158. But
And
there have
that's-
been months when it's been really high.
Yeah, when there's been more, if depending on what kind of situation happens. Laguna, so far this month, they've brought in over 40 dogs just from Laguna.
Okay.
Right now, that's a big problem. They seem to come in with a lot of sickness too. So as soon as we get them, we vaccinate them, kind of check them out. We have a volunteer vet that comes in once or twice a week, and of course Dr. Gordon, he's a blessing to us. We take a lot of dogs in for him just to evaluate for us because we're not vets.
Right.
But once we know exactly what to do for them, then we can help them.
Mm-hmm.
We are able to save a lot of them. The ones that come in from Laguna, they're covered in ticks. That causes a lot of disease.
Sure.
I'm not sure what is going on with the parvo and the distemper not really having a winter. There's been a lot of sickness.
Okay.
So trying to keep them healthy, get them transported, adopted. I think we do really good for the amount that comes in for our small area.
Sure. Well, I was listening to public radio last week, and Santa Fe has had a big problem. And she mentioned that this is statewide. It's not just Santa Fe. It's everywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know the dog is not to blame.
No.
We're to blame for this because we're not spaying and neutering our pets.
Exactly. It's human error. People want dogs in the outskirts. They don't get them spayed and neutered. And there's services out there. They have clinics in Crown Point, Laguna. They just had a couple of spay-neuter clinics. So basically, a lot of them that they brought in, they did spay and neuter before they brought them in, but they were dogs that were unwanted. So,
well, it's sad because
sad.
we could solve this problem, and it means that we're spending a lot of money in our city that could be going to other things if we just simply were responsible citizens.
Yes, yes. And when you when you adopt or reclaim your animal, under the New Mexico Sterilization Act, your animal, if it is not already altered, it has to be altered before you can reclaim it, and when you adopt.
Okay. Well, this pup has been so good.
Yep,
It's amazing that she is just a sweet, sweet puppy, and she needs a home. Otherwise, she's going to be transported to Utah, and that would be not a good thing. I mean,
Well,
they're good to them.
Yeah, they're good to them. It's a bigger area. It's a wealthier area where they go. And yeah, when they're transported, they're very well taken care of. So
Good.
It is a good thing. So.
Okay, well, that's good. And you do this twice a month, don't you?
Sometimes 3 times a month, just depending on once the animals that they receive. A lot of them they have foster homes set up for because they kind of pick how many and which ones they want. So they have the foster homes set up for them. And a lot of times before they even get there, they have homes before they're actually arrive. So it's pretty wonderful. So depending on how fast they're adopted is when they want us to make that next trip.
Okay. Now, what are some other challenges that you face?
Just, having enough volunteers to come in, making sure the animals are taken care of, it's a lot of work. And so there's the one-on-one time. The officers don't have a whole lot of that.
Well, I have been there when, on a Saturday, when you were shorthanded, and I volunteered to go in and do some cleaning. And just the cleaning aspect, when you think about all that goes into making it spotless, because it is spotless when I was there, and all the effort that goes into maintaining that and keeping it clean so that diseases are not transferred from
ma'am.
one animal to another, you've got to, it's hard work.
Yeah, and it's go, go, go.
That's right, it is. The other thing is that you have officers that go out to rural areas and throughout the city to pick up dogs that are running loose.
That the city officers stay within the city limits
Okay,
unless one of the county officers need assistance.
okay.
So we have, there's 2 county animal control officers that basically handle the outskirts of Grants.
Okay,
They go out to Rama Pine Hill area,
okay,
Blue Water Acres, the backside of Blue Water Lake.
okay.
And if they need assistance out past Cobero, we have gone and helped them with different situations. So, yeah.
You are such a patient puppy. Most are just so disinterested in being...
Yep, she just wants to keep coming up in my lap. So
That's
yeah,
right.
that's what she wants to be, is a lap baby.
That's right, she does.
Yeah, little Sarah.
Yeah, she's a pretty pup. So, I was there one time when there were a couple of injuries of the officers, and I'm thinking not only, it's a hard job, but it can also be a dangerous job.
Yeah, we have to be very careful. Things happen so quickly. I've been loving on a cat and, showing it to a customer and trying to get him a home, and he grabbed my arm and bit me. And a lot of cats, they'll do that for attention. Well, he was already getting attention, so he was kind of a young feisty, and he was neutered. But, you just never know. You just have to be careful.
That's right, you do, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's an event coming up
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that's one of the things we want to talk about, is this event coming up on May the 5th.
Yes, ma'am.
Cinco de Mayo. So what are we doing down at the Animal Care Center?
So we are going to have an adoption event. There's going to be blessing of the animals.
Right.
There's going to be a costume event.
Okay.
There's going to be, I believe, they're going to make arrangements to have snacks for the public. The adoption fees will be $5 per dog. They will either already be spayed or neutered, or fixing to get spayed or neutered before they're adopted.
So that's going to already be taken care of.
We're hoping that happens right
Okay.
away. Some of them we may have to go ahead and send in afterwards.
Okay.
The vets are busy, so trying to get them in there and get them scheduled. So yeah, it still will be a $5 adoption fee.
Okay. So you're going to have an open house
Yes, ma'am.
with an adopt-a-thon, so people can come through and just see what's in the Animal Care Center. And you're going to have the blessing of the animals, and then you're going to have snacks for those that come in and visit the shelter. So this would be a great time. Spring is a great time to go to the Animal Care Center. And I don't think after we put this pup on, I don't think it's going to be long before this
No.
one's adopted, because she is so good. And her
Yep,
name
she
is Sarah.
This is Sarah.
Sarah. Well, she is one good puppy. So remember, and you're located on Sacaleras?
722 Sacaleras. We're right next door to the baseball parks.
Okay, very good. And they've got a lot of pretty kitties, puppies, nice, sweet dogs like this one. Someone has spent time with this dog and has gotten a lot of attention. How and why it came to the Animal Care Center is a question we don't have an answer to.
No.
But go down and support the Animal Care Center on May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And just remember that this, and if you want to go and volunteer, there are opportunities for that too. So, Sherry, thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
coming
having
in.
us.
And thank you, Sarah, for being such a good girl. You are one. She just really likes attention.
She
Thank you
does.
for tuning in to this segment of Cibola Treasures.
Fast, reliable internet is here, and it's local.
My name is Robert Windhorst. When my wife went back to school to become a teacher, our internet service was terrible. Sacred Wind came into our area and we signed up. It is great service.
Hi, I'm Amanda Valdez and I am a teacher. Thinking of pursuing my master's degree, I knew that it couldn't have been possible before. Sacred Wind Internet made it possible to obtain my degree online.
Connect 66 Internet. Fast, reliable, and local. Powered by Sacred Wind.
Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is someone that's new to our community, and I want to welcome Shelley Fawcett. And Shelley, tell our audience what your role is in our community.
Yeah, I am the center director for the SolarWorks centers and we're located up at MSU Grants campus on the second floor of the Joseph Fidel building. We're sponsored by the Cibola Communities Economic Development Foundation, and we try to help people train for and get placed in remote work, which then in turn brings fresh money into the community. And we try to help people with their career paths and planning that all out and deliver the resources they need to get to where they want to go.
Okay. Well, this is a new concept in our state, and we are the pilot program here in Cibola County for this, and I understand that there has been some money awarded by the state to keep that project going, and the whole state is looking at grants to see whether or not we're going to succeed at this. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about you as an individual, because you grew up in what community?
I grew up in the Uinta Basin, specifically Roosevelt, Utah, and very small rural community. I think it's smaller than Grants actually, and very familiar with the rural boomer bus situation.
Okay, so when you went off to college, where did you go to college?
Went to college at Utah State University up in northern Utah in Logan.
Okay, and how did you manage to be able to go to college?
Well, I would work in the oil field, doing manual labor, either as a welder's helper, roustabout, or I was, doing some welding, equipment operation, just any number of things in the oil field. I was on the construction side, and I was able to pay my way through school by, working during the summers in the oil field, and then during the school year I could focus on school.
Okay, so some of those jobs, we tend to think of those jobs as being men's jobs, right?
Right.
And so a roustabout, that's a really tough job.
I welcome a challenge. So.
Okay, all right. And then you mentioned when we visited earlier that you really enjoyed welding.
I did. In fact, I really enjoyed that job in general. I just became less able to do it for personal and health reasons. But I one day I'm gonna get my own equipment back, and
you might be doing some welding again.
Yeah.
Well, so due to some health problems that you've had, you decided that you needed to be working from home. So that was the beginning of your the evolution.
Right.
The beginning, and here's where you are today. So let's talk about some of those things that you did as you were learning this process of working from home.
Yeah, so I'd always taken on little side projects for editing or writing or anything like that, but then I took a job as a TA for a course called Technical Communication for Engineers, and I was able to do a lot of grading papers and stuff like that from home. And I would go in, if I had to tutor or if I had to have a meeting with my boss, and I did a lot of curriculum development stuff with her because it was the first time it was required for engineers, so we had to do some tweaking. And from there, I just searched, tried to find what things I could do. So I did some transcription, more editing. I did teaching. I was teaching Chinese kids English, actually.
Okay.
And I've done quite a few things.
Right.
Quite a few things. There's a lot of things you can do remotely. So
Sure.
a little bit here, a little bit there, and that was kind of the start of it for me.
Okay, so that you have experienced successes, and then because working online, there have been some challenges as well. So that's one of the things that you bring to this program called Solo Works. And so you moved to New Mexico, and then you've recently lost your husband, which is, I'm sorry, that's hard, I know, on you.
Right.
And so now you're here, but let's look at what you're doing for the program, because number one, the whole focus of Solo Works was just one objective. Now you've got several. So let's look at the first objective.
So that was call center work. We were doing pretty much exclusively, and so now I'm trying to implement a lot more of the pathways part, like career pathways. So even if maybe a call center job is your entry into remote work, so you can get that remote work experience and that interacting with people in a remote way experience, there's also virtual assisting, there's transcription, there's I've got people who are interested in getting into translation and interpretation, and I'm trying to put things together so everybody can get to where they want to be. I'm trying to ask somebody what their dream job is and trying to essentially reverse engineer that and fill in the skills and come up with a viable path to that. So I have several people who want to go into medical billing and coding, for instance, and we've got some exciting things coming on that way, and just really trying to listen to where the demand's at and trying to carve out the resources and really dive in where people want to go.
Okay, so you've got several things that are on that you're working on. You mentioned medical billing and transcribing. What else are you working on?
Yeah, so I mean, I've collected curriculum for a number of things. There's some people who want to do who want to be business owners that I'm helping with some introductory business courses, stuff like that. I've got people who are interested in like marketing, for example. So I've shown them some resources as far as marketing or certifications that you get that are low cost or free. Digital Garage by Google is an example. There's some good stuff on HubSpot. Got somebody who really wants to do real estate, which may not be as remote in the end, but they need a job in the meantime, and I'm also trying to help them get the skills that they would need in order to be able to be effective in their marketing that way. So again, I'm trying to basically, and I have someone who's interested in teaching, and I have some experience in that as far as doing that remotely. So I'm just trying to go according to what the demand is. So if someone were to come to me and say, I want to do XYZ thing that I hadn't yet dived into, I would then dive into that.
Sure. So right now you have, as I recall when we met recently, you have over 30 people that are involved in your program. And then how does someone get into the Solo Works program? There's a process for that, isn't there? So let's talk about that process.
Yeah, so there's a few things. First of all, there's got to be a commitment, because it's when I dive in with somebody, I make them a little project space in our space online that we use to do planning, and I set out the end date for the project 5 years from now. And you have to be able to be willing to come into the meetings and to adhere to the responsibilities you have, and then in turn being able to give back. There's also a certain amount of technical literacy that you need to be able to have at this point, though we can work with you to some degree on that. We also ask that people take their work keys assessments, and then a lot of it is just working out or trying to work out whether someone really wants it, because each person I get deeply invested in, and if I'm going to get deeply invested, I want them to be invested too.
Right. Well, there is a process because there's some testing you mentioned. And so these starting positions with Solo Works are about, what, $8 or $9 an hour?
Actually, so I've made a relationship with a friend who runs, now a friend, who is the CEO of a virtual call center. And at this call center, there's about 30 different clients that they do work for. And the pay ranges from about $9 an hour to about $18 an hour, just depending on the client and the requirements that they have. So once you're on board with this call center, you can kind of choose based on what clients are hiring where you want to go and what kind of pay you'll be getting. There's a lot of flexibility that way, and a lot of room to kind of move around and figure out what it is you want and gain the skills you want as far as what kind of a client you're working for, what kind of background you want to develop.
Okay. And I understand that there can even be some of these jobs could even go up to $50, $60 an hour.
Right. I'm working, I've got some people doing virtual assistant training, and those go from, once you're more established, it goes, $35 to $60 an hour is what you can command. So I'm helping people refine what skills they have that they want to market as a virtual assistant and help them in that process. And I've made some relationships in the virtual assistant world who really have been doing this for quite some time, helping people get to the point where they're also successful in virtual assisting. And it's been really exciting seeing people excited about it.
Right. So we're just about out of time, but my point that I want to make now, and you and I have discussed this, is that when someone works here in our community, and those are fresh new dollars coming into the community, it really has an impact on our economic development, doesn't it?
Yes. It's fresh money to the community instead of the same money circulating around the community.
Right. Okay. We're out of time. We're going to get you back and once you're settled in more. But if you want to get up to NMSU campus, you're in the which building?
Joseph Fidel building, second floor.
Senator Fidel's building on the north side of the campus. And come up, and she's on the second floor, so just take the elevator up or the stairs up to the second floor. You'll see Shelley there. And if you're interested in pursuing some of these things that she's working on, she's going to listen to what you want to do and help you accomplish it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
so when
you.
you see Shelley in town, welcome her, please. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Cibola Treasures. Thank you for joining us this morning. Remember that this is brought to you by Seven Cities Productions and Comcast.
Warrior Pegboard will transform your workshop or garage to a clean, uncluttered space. Warrior Pegboard is the strongest pegboard in the world. Holds up to 2,500 pounds on a single panel. The hooks will not fall out. What you will need: select the size, anchor to a stud, admire your handiwork. Warrior Pegboard's strong, sparkling appearance was designed by a veteran. Each piece of your Warrior Pegboard system is made in America. For sizes, prices, and shipping information, just select Warrior Pegboard at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, Jet.com, or DiscountRamps.com. For wholesale, military, and government sales, contact John Wesley.
Fast, reliable internet is here, and it's local.
Hi, I'm Mike Gonzalez, IT Director for the Village of Milan.
And I'm Robert Ramirez, the Computer Lab Moderator.
We have fiber optic service through Sacred Wind, and it has allowed us to create our computer lab.
Hi, I'm Amanda Valdez, and I am a teacher. Thinking of pursuing my master's degree, I knew that it couldn't have been possible before. Sacred Wind Internet made it possible to obtain my degree online.
Connect 66 Internet. Fast, reliable, and local. Powered by Sacred Wind, a name you know, a product you trust.
Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is Dawn Chapman. And Dawn, several months ago, you started doing this project. Mm-hmm. So first of all, tell our audience what the project is and how you got started.
Okay. The project is called Grants Rocks. It's just a branch of the Kindness Rocks project that started on the East Coast with a lady in Maine. And what it is you just paint rocks, write on rocks, whatever. You hide them, other people find them. It, cheers them up, gets them out and about, enjoying, the great outdoors, gets the kids away from their electronic playmates and doing something constructive. And everybody doing this is a family type activity. So it started like that. My daughter, I'd gone to visit her last summer and got inside her house, and on her dining room table was just rocks and paint everywhere. And so I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, Mom, you've got to try this. You won't believe it. Then she gets on her phone and she's like, there's not a club in Grants. You need to start a rock club in Grants. And That was last August, I'm sorry. And we have just shy of 1,700 members. And that's not counting the kids and whatever that aren't on Facebook. So and if you want to join, go to Grants Rocks on Facebook and join in the fun.
Well, our purpose today is that there is an event coming up in Grants called the 7 Trails of Gold. And this is a geocaching event. And there are people that come from all over the world to get involved in geocaching. I mean, it's a worldwide thing. And for Grants to be not only attracting people from New Mexico and those in our own community, but we're attracting people that want to find out where these things are located.
Right.
And so there are 7 trails. A lot of them are outdoors. And so tell us what you started. I've given a brief introduction of this, but what did you start that would get people coming to Grants as far as the rock part?
The rocks travel. We've started a rock garden. It's over by the neon sign on Route 66, and a lot of people are there, tourists, taking their pictures, and they spot the rocks, and they take one. It says right on there, take one, leave one, share one, and they take them home wherever home might be. So we've had some, my daughter's had some end up in Vancouver, British Columbia, South Carolina. Some went this past week to San Diego and Huntington Beach, and then they were found there, so they're headed home to who knows where. So they're traveling all over, and people are all of a sudden saying, wow, where's Grants, New Mexico? Or I was in Grants, New Mexico.
Well, there's a little sign that, by the way, this is one of the creations right here. But there's a little note on the back of each one of these rocks. It says, keep or rehide, post a picture on Facebook to Grants Rocks. And so you're getting posts from all over.
All over the country.
All over the country.
And so, and some, like say, have gone out of the country, for sure, British Columbia. So, and then it keeps going from there. It just multiplies. I've had 2 or 3 people say that when they got back home that they started projects in their hometowns. So it's fun. It's just something to do. It's uplifting, spreading acts of kindness. What's so wrong with that?
It is.
You know?
Now, you've had a group out at the Senior Citizen Center that have started this. So you introduced this concept to them. And so they have done all kinds of great things with theirs.
They love it. The first time we got together, they're like, I can't paint, I can't draw, I can't. It's like, it's not about that. You don't have to be an artist or whatever, just, you know, and they'd had newspaper on the table, so they start looking at the little pictures on there and start doing it. And next thing you know, they had a blast. So we've had 3 paint parties since then, and they want to do another one just before we have this, so the ladies can put their rocks in the garden for these tourists coming to our town.
Well, I happened to be there earlier today, and there weren't very many rocks in the rock garden. I mean, people have taken them. And so if you're interested, or if you're one of these that's handy with paints, or what is the other thing you do besides paint?
I decoupage. These are all decoupaged. I'm not paint talent-wise. I just can't do it. But these, I just go on my printer, print them off, find something cute, easy to cut out, you know, off your internet, go to Pinterest, wherever, and I print it off, paint it, decoupage it on, then you seal coat it, and they're quicker.
Now, you did a nice big one for us that says welcome, and it's got little jewels on it, and I mean, you've done some beautiful things.
We have some talented, creative people out there and stuff, and just a heads up, my daughter's coming the end of May, and she's been working on a bunch of pretty much 3D ones where they're bright colors, but they have little race cars on them, they have dinosaurs on them. I mean, you know, the sky's the limit, just whatever, let your juices flow. And
so is she going to be bringing some of hers here?
Oh yeah, she's going to fill the garden.
Well, what we need to do is fill that garden. And so if you are an artist, if you just want to learn how to do this, there's going to be another painting party over at the Senior Citizen Center in May.
Yes, sometime in May. She's going to get back with me, look at her schedule.
Okay, but we'll post that. But by the way, let me just read a little bit about what's going on with the Trails of Gold. Geocaching, you use your GPS to locate these things, and then when you get there, you take a picture of where you have been. And so this event in Grants they've got all kinds of things, food trucks and beer and live music and local performances, and they've got a trail snacks contest. The Continental Divide hikers are going to be welcomed at this event. The off-road vehicles, they're going to be here. And then there are going to be opportunities to go out to these places. If you've got a horse, you can go horseback riding to locate this, or you can hike, you can bike the trails, whatever is the best for you to do, to go to find those 7 trails of gold here in Cibola County. There are going to be vendors, so that means food, and then there'll be kids activities, and so much more. And so there are going to be various organizations and sponsors that will be here, and it's going to be a big thing, a 3-day event, June 8th, 9th, and 10th, and we need to fill the little rock garden with rocks, because on the back it tells where they picked this up, that it's in Grants, and people saying, where is Grants, New Mexico? And then they put this on, and why, I picked this up in Grants. And so
they'll Google Grants, and it's like, I've been there, done that. Now, when I get done with these today, these on that side, I'm going to take them. I live just off Lobo Canyon Road, so I'm going to place them up and down Lobo Canyon, hopefully as far as La Mosca, for the Continental Divide trail hikers that are also going to be doing an event here. And I just saw 2 going up just a minute ago and stuff, so that way they can take them home with them. We'll see what the intentions are. Is they're supposed to post the picture. Not everyone does, and you can keep or rehide it, so a lot of people just keep it and don't post, but the whole idea is to just get happiness spread all over.
Well, but it's also got another area that's important. It's bringing people into our community. It's letting the world know that Grants does exist. And this is the brainchild of Dawn. So she is out there encouraging tourists to come to Grants, because now they want to see where they picked up this little beautiful treasure, or this one that's got the smiley face and the cute little girl on it. They want to know where Grants is so that they can come to Grants. And so as far as, and I look at it, and people get tired of me saying this, I know, but this is really part of economic development, bringing tourists into our community, and then when they leave here, they've got a memento, and they can post it online. They can say, from Fenton, Missouri, or Las Vegas, Nevada, or somewhere in Idaho. It doesn't matter where, but now they have picked this up in our community, and it spreads the word that Grants is a great place to come and visit.
And like you said, the economic impact on it, initially, everybody was just addicted, and so they're racing all over town. Of course, they're having to buy gas, they're going to the grocery stores, hiding them in Walmart, getting a snack, and so, just from our local community, the money that was being spread around and stuff like that, just to take part in the project. So it's been good that way.
Well, you and I had been in Albuquerque at Sam's Club. And tell the story about that.
So I'm in there and picking up, we had, it was the grand opening for the rock garden and the dedication. So I was picking up a bunch of cookies, and the 2 ladies were there checking me out. And so I just got to chit-chatting and saying, we're having a grand opening for our rock garden. And they're like, oh my gosh, this guy was in here from Grants the other day, and he was buying all these paint kits and everything, so it's just that, it was a weird coincidence, but it was like, wow, it's already, the word's getting out, and they specifically mentioned Grants.
Right, that's right. Well, if you want something, a hobby that's relaxing, you can decoupage it, you can paint, whatever is the best for you.
Stickers, glue-on gems, it doesn't really matter. It's not about that. It's about spreading kindness.
Right. And then how would someone get these little stickers that are on the back of the rocks?
I just went on and printed it. I just copied and pasted. I printed the one. You can make them whatever size. If you'll notice, these are a lot smaller. But
Right.
just print them off and decoupage them on there, or you can write them on with a Sharpie. You know, a lot of
Okay.
people do that. Just seal it good so it stays on and is weatherproof.
Okay. Well, get involved because we are gearing up for the Trails of Gold, the 7 Trails of Gold, and we would like to have that rock garden filled with all these beautiful rock treasures. So, Dawn, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
starting this. I should also mention that this is really designed for besides the enjoyment, the painting, the camaraderie that you have with one another when you're doing this, but it generates economic development, it encourages tourism. So if you have an idea that would bring more people into grants, would you let us know? Because tourism is big business. Dawn, thank you for being
You're
the
welcome.
inspiration for this, and thank you for tuning in to this segment of Cibola Treasures. El Cafecito has been serving authentic New Mexican cuisine for over 32 years. The first thing that greets you is the fragrant aroma of chili.
The friendly and efficient staff welcome you to a dining experience that can only be found in Grants. Try the award-winning burrito, red, green, or maybe you want Christmas.
Do you need a chili fix? You will not be disappointed. There's so many great choices.
What sets El Cafecito apart is the made fresh chili every day.
Oh, I come here for the breakfast burrito, which is very good. Service is good, fast. When you're hungry, you're ready to eat.
A banquet room is designed for meetings, special occasions, and community events.
For those in a hurry, the drive-up window offers convenience too.
The service, friendly staff, great New Mexican cuisine is all due to Angela and Larry Baca. They oversee every aspect of El Cafecito.
Warrior Pegboard will transform your workshop or garage to a clean, uncluttered space. Warrior Pegboard is the strongest pegboard in the world. Holds up to 2,500 pounds on a single panel. The hooks will not fall out. What you will need: select the size, anchor to a stud, admire your handiwork. Warrior Pegboard's strong, sparkling appearance was designed by a veteran. Each piece of your Warrior Pegboard system is made in America. For sizes, prices, and shipping information, just select Warrior Pegboard at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, Jet.com, or DiscountRamps.com. For wholesale, military, and government sales, contact John Wesley.
Fast, reliable internet is here, and it's local.
My name is Robert Windhorst. When my wife went back to school to become a teacher, our internet service was terrible. Sacred Wind came into our area and we signed up. It is great service.
Hi, I'm Amanda Valdez and I am a teacher. Thinking of pursuing my master's degree, I knew that it couldn't have been possible before. Sacred Wind Internet made it possible to obtain my degree online.
Connect 66 Internet. Fast, reliable, and local. Powered by Sacred Wind.
Well, school is almost over, and especially for our high school students, let's not provide them with alcohol. Let's not have any deaths this year. I know that they want to have a great time, a big party. Remember, parents, no alcohol to our young people. I want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of Cibola Treasures, brought to you by Comcast and 7 Cities Productions.